So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your KITS Webinar Wednesday. My name is Franklin. I'm the Product App Specialist for KITS and your webinar host. So it seems the flow and content of our webinars are finally hitting the mark with our community, so thank you for your feedback. Now, we look forward to bringing you more great webinars to help you along the way to becoming that supercharged power user. So a big thank you to the KITS community again. So continuing from last week's webinar, we're now using KITS Mobile to collaborate with our design team. Now, this has been a requested suggestion, so we're hoping that the users are getting a plentiful of information today to communicating with their design team. All right, so Julia, what's on the agenda for our community today?
All right, so we're going to be going over the following: preparing the project and sharing it with the team, also importing our project into KITS Web. This involves sending it to the designer and also receiving the file from the designer. And lastly, we're going to be publishing the project to KITS Mobile. So we've also attached a PDF handout for importing AutoCAD files. It's in the GoToWebinar control panel. You can go ahead and open that, and you can save it, and you can refer to it later. But they also have the importing requirements, which is really important when you're doing this importing. And you can also visit our Knowledge Center for a detailed overview of importing the file. We have some videos in the Webinar Wednesday page that you can view for later on. So, as always, we're going to be talking about the quick opportunity. Franklin is now completing the project, and he is sending it out to the design team to do the validation and also do some rework. So I'll let him continue with the webinar.
All right, thanks a lot, Julia. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up that project we did last week in KITS Mobile. And here it is. And again, it was the touchdown space as well as the casual meeting area. So what we now need to do is we need to send this to this project off to our design team so that they can actually validate it against the project plan that we have. Now, we've also been asked to do a revised layout as well, and this is to possibly include a storage area and stand for an external monitor or TV hookup for that casual meeting area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm first going to go into the project share, and I'm just going to tap on the icon above in the top left. And now I'm going to go ahead and export AutoCAD DXF SIF file. All right, it is going to prompt you to save the project. Again, this is a quick little save that we always include with some of the features here. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap on Save. And now what we've been given is the window prompt to send or include the recipient's email address here. What I'm actually going to show you is what I normally do with any kind of project that requires me to send out to more than one recipient. I've actually included this in a note in my iPad. And here we have it as the KITS design team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this so that I can actually include in that email. So all I'm doing here is a quick selection. Excuse me. And this is only required if you have more than one recipient that you email at a time. My suggestion is that what you do is you create this note in your iPad notes, so that what you can do is you can always refer to it. You know, especially if these are a common group that you normally share files with. What you can do is, as I did here, highlight the actual email names and copy it, so that when you go back into KITS, all you have to do is quickly do a paste. Okay, and just remember that you need to use a comma in between each email. All right, and then what we can also do is, because there's additional requirements for this, I can quickly add a comment here to the design team. And here we can just say client is requesting for an additional layout to include storage and media stand support. Okay. Again, it's really up to you what you want to include. Obviously, what you want to do is you want to be as detailed as possible, and that means you may have to mention manufacturer, particularly the series that you need to use. and any useful information leading up to what the actual design team needs to do. Okay, and once you're satisfied with the note, again, I'm just going to tap on the keyboard at the bottom right corner to close, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to export this out to the design team. Now, you can actually send this out to any particular email. They don't have to have a valid KITS license, as what we're actually sending them is a compatible DXF file that they can open up in AutoCAD and, again, validate it to the actual project. Now, as Julia mentioned, you may have to refer to the attached PDF document detailing the requirements to importing a DXF file or an AutoCAD file, as well as the process into importing it back into KITS web. Okay, so you can find that in the control panel of your GoToMeeting again, just in case you just joined us. It's a useful tip to follow, as well as following the already made tutorials that we have in the Knowledge Center. All right, so now that it's actually sent out to our designer, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the role of the design team. So here we have the project, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly open up the floor plan. So we can see here that what we need to do is make sure that the scale and size of the layout that we created validates against the actual project that was given to us. So I bubbled out the area here just to indicate what we're actually looking at in terms of having to apply that layout we created in KITS to the actual space. All right? And so we receive the file and we open it up. And as you can see here, we receive a DXF file. And excuse my my voice today. I just got over a flu, so I'm trying to get through today's webinar. Just gonna have a quick little drink of water here. All right. So here's the DXF file that we received, and I'm just going to quickly bring it up to center. So you can see these are all the components that we included, even the KOE catalog items that are basically the people and the plants that we have in this project. Obviously, what I'm going to do is, if I need to include this in a final project drawing file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these items. But what I really want to go after here is, being on the design team, I just want to quickly validate that this works with the actual plan. So first thing I need to do is I need to change this DXF and save it as a DWG. Okay, so I'm going to save it here as webinar demo. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to say yes. Okay, as soon as that's done, what I need to do now is I'm going to quickly close this file. Oh, just need to see my little X here. And now I'm going to go back into the project folder, and I'm going to open it back up. The reason why I need to do that is so that I can easily copy and paste it back into my actual project plan. So here's the layout that we need to validate. I'm just going to do a quick Control-A, which selects all the components in the space. And again, in case there are any designers out there, I'm just going to quickly orbit this. And then what I want to do is I'm going to copy this. Here I'm going to do a clipboard or a copy with base point, just so I have a reference point of where I want to actually import the actual layout into my scene. Okay, so now that that's actually copied, I'm going back into the floor plan. And here I'm just going to paste it anywhere, just so I can quickly rotate this. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring it into my floor plan. And if you're the design team, obviously you can get a little bit more finicky with placement here. But right now, all I'm doing is I'm making sure that scale and size of the layout works with the intended space. Okay. And as you can see, we now have the touchdown space that's now entered into the actual plan. All right, so that's how you can actually take that DXF file and you can bring it back into the CAD project plan and make sure that, again, it validates against the actual floor plan. All right. So the next step here is that the designer is supposed to provide us with a revision. And I'm not going to go through 2020 to creating this, but what I do have is the actual coordinating project. It's already been created. Here we have the new webinar layout, including the storage, as well as the SIF file that was created from the actual project plan. Right. So what I want to do now is go quickly into my KITS web. So I'm going to open up my Internet Explorer, and then I'm going to log in using the same credentials as I do with KITS Mobile. Okay. So normally you would actually open up in the Find By screen here. This is the home screen where you can actually search the catalogs. But really what you want to know is going into your Manage Projects link, and now what we want to do is we want to create the file in KITS web. All right. So because the file is already created, we can do this in two parts. So we can do this as the designers with a KITS license, and what we're doing right now is we're importing the actual file into our account, which we're now going to send out as a shared file to our KITS user, our salesperson, that's going to be able to open that project in their KITS mobile account. So first thing I'm going to do is tap on Create Project. And as a best practice, we always want to make sure that we have some kind of naming convention for the files that we use or for the project that we're creating so that we can actually track its progress. Here, just for the sake of the webinar, I'm going to say KITS webinar revised layout. Okay, and before I click on Create Project, what I want to include here is the DWG file as well as the SIF file that was created. Now, you may not always have the SIF file. You can certainly use the DWG file, but just note or understand that anybody using 2020 will receive a DXF file that will have dropped, or a DWG file that will have dropped swatches and pricing. 2020 doesn't retain that attributable information in their layout. So that's something that is important to creating a SIF file so that your import can accompany the drawing file. So that basically KITS will actually understand that this is the model that it's actually using and this is the actual information that it's using against that model. Okay? So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse for that DWG file. Here it is. We're going to say open. And then now I'm also going to use that SIF file. So again, just to reiterate, the DWG file is going to contain the 3D model of the actual project, so that when KITS rebuilds this project, it knows where to place all the parts and components relative to where they're supposed to be in the 3D space. And then what it's going to do is it's going to refer to the SIF file to including the swatches and pricing that has been specified for the project. All right? So now that I'm satisfied with the two, I'm going to go ahead and create project. And depending on how large this project is, it may take a while for KITS to understand. There are a lot of components that are involved here. And what I've done is I've made sure that we left in the KOE catalog items so that when the salesperson receives it, they actually have the file. And what they can do with it is basically, again, use the same file with the KOE catalog items that will help decorate the space and humanize the scene. All right. So once you get the selection window open, here you're going to be given a certain set and zone area that you need to include in your import. It'll indicate what you're actually importing. Here we have only 3D symbols. You may also have 2D symbols that may be important to the scene. That could be electrical files that don't have an actual 3D symbol from the manufacturer, but need to be included in the line item view of the actual project. So you want to make sure that you include all the components that are necessary for this project. And again, you can always refer to the cheat sheet that we included for your import requirements. So once I've selected that zone, I'm going to go ahead and continue. And what KITS is beginning to do is it's beginning to analyze the files that we've included. Again, that is the 3D model. So it's now rebuilding the project as it's actually placed in a 3D scene. and then it's going to go look at the SIF file to making sure that it applies the same finishes and pricing that's already been specified for this project. So again, it's really important to have a SIF file, but if you don't, you could still import the 3D model into your scene. However, you'll have to re-specify and reprice accordingly, right? And like I said, it will take a few minutes or a few seconds to load this project into KiSP Web. All right, so if this is your first time joining us and seeing the import process, we do have a detailed video that you can actually see in our Knowledge Center. And basically, you can view it to see how you can import an AutoCAD file and all the actual requirements. It actually shows you some issues that may arise. So it's a good tutorial to view. Again, and this is important if you receive files such as this from your design team so that you can load into your KiSP mobile account. All right, so for this example, again, what we're doing is we're taking the stance here as the design team that is loading this into the KiSP account that they have specifically for the design team. So this is a great way for the design team to create layouts or revise layouts that you've sent to them and then share them back to you so that you can open them up directly to your KiSP mobile. Right? So here you can see that upon finishing, we do get a little thumbnail image of the layout. And you can see here all the parts that are included in this project, which also include KOE catalog items. Right? And if we go to seeing a detail view, you can see that a little bit more in detail as per a catalog that it's from and the type of component and its specifications. Okay. Anytime you have any kind of question marks, red question marks, that's just letting me know that some items need to be fully specified. All right. But again, the idea here is that we actually get this file and we send it to the KiSP mobile account so that we can actually do those edits using our KiSP mobile tool. Right? So I'm satisfied with this. I've already validated the project. I'm happy with all the specifications and what's been listed. So again, if I'm the design team here, what I'm going to do is I'm first going to publish this to my mobile format. So this actually gets sent to the existing mobile account. And then what I can do is, if I need to share this out with anybody, you can see here that there's no option to share. So what I need to do is go back to Manage Projects. This time what I'm going to do is I'm currently viewing my web accounts. So these are all the projects that are listed for my web account. What I want to do is view my mobile projects. So I'm going to go ahead and click Mobile Projects. This will refresh the screen. They're showing all those projects that are now on my mobile account. So here we have the KiSP webinar revised layout. I need to share this out with my design team. So I'm going to go ahead and share a project. And I can now include any email of a salesperson that I intend to actually send this to. So if I need to, I can go ahead and send this to jbattistone@kisp.com. Okay. Now just remember, you need to send this to somebody that has a valid KiSP license, or else they won't be able to open the project at all. All right. So now that I have my intended salesperson here, I can also include other people. I can include myself. And then I can add any kind of comments. Here's the revised project. And I can now send that out. Okay, and you will see for some reason it's showing here that is not associated with any user in KiSP. Okay, and that's arising only because I'm actually in my own account. I'm just trying to send it to myself. But in this case, it's already sent to my mobile account. Okay, so here we've already sent it to J Battistone. She can open it up, and now she can select and confirm the share in her email address. And then as soon as that's done, what she can do is she can go back to her KiSP mobile, and she can now sync that project. Okay, so now that's already sent. what I need to do now is go back to my KITS mobile account to accept the share. So let's go ahead and open up our KITS mobile. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to projects. So I go to my project gallery screen. And in case you don't see a notification appear, you may have to tap on sync so you connect to the cloud, because what it'll do is it'll pull down any updated information that's been sent to your account, and it'll send it back down as a notification here in the notification bell area. Right? So you can now see that I have a 1 indicated here. If I tap on that bell, again, it's telling me that there's an accepted shared project that I've confirmed but have not yet synced down to my device. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and tap Sync Now. And what KITS is beginning to do is, just like any regular sync, it's beginning to access the cloud account, and it's beginning to pull down the actual project so that it's now available on my iPad to either revise for the client or present to the client. Okay, and depending how large this project is, it may take a few seconds or even a few minutes. That's also depending if there's any other updates that you have that are pending, and that could be catalog updates already. Once you access the cloud, it's going to search for anything and everything that you need to sync down to your iPad. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to go back into my projects gallery, and there you can see that I have the revised project. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on it, and you can now see here is the new layout that we've created for the client. Okay, so this is a quick and easy way for you to work with your design team. The idea here is that you communicate the project. It doesn't matter whether or not the content is complete for the layout that you're creating, because again, it really depends on your workflow. If you work with your design team and they're the ones who validate your project, then they can actually take a look at the layout, make any kind of changes that are necessary, and then send that project back to you. Either with their a KITS mobile, a KITS web account, they can actually make the share direct, or what they can do is they can share that DWG file by sending it out, you know, as a DWG from AutoCAD, which the salesperson can now follow the same import process and import that into their own account. Okay, and then since I'm satisfied with this, what I need to do now is create a few quick renderings to show the new layout to my client. And again, because there are 2 areas that were involved for this space, what I want to make sure I do is capture both areas. Obviously, if this is back in the office, I'm going to use the best rendering option to show them the best possible rendering output I can get with my KITS tool. And I'm going to make sure that I show them both areas, the touchdown space as well as the new revised casual seating area. Okay, happy with that project, so I'm going to go ahead, copy that to my photo library, go back to KITS, and now let's go ahead and capture the meeting area. All right, we ran a webinar last week showing the tips of setting up your rendering. So again, if you weren't available for that, you could always visit our Knowledge Center and view any of the past webinars that we've ran, or you can contact Julia and she can actually send out a link to viewing that webinar. So again, I want to make sure that I create a copy of this as a rendering so that I can show my client both options. Now, it may take a little bit of practice of getting used to how to use the actual import feature. So what I would do is review the document that we've attached for you. Use that as a guideline. It shows you quick, easy ways to import that project. And basically, again, it will enlighten how you can actually communicate with your design team to creating these wonderful layouts for your project. Okay, save that to the photo library. And as always, if we need to, we can quickly create a quick sheet, and we can show the client of the new revised project area. Let's go ahead and say this is the KITS office. And I'm going to say revised layout, just so you know there's a difference from the original that we created and from a new revised one. Here, because it's the revised layout, I want to show them what the difference is. So I'm going to show them that nice little storage feature that we've created. So I'm going to add that there. And then I can go ahead and complete my, PDF. Again, here it is. And if I need to hide any details, I can go ahead and hide all the details I want so that I can protect my bid. And just to show you again, because we did that SIF import, you can see that we were able to get a fully rendered or fully specified project, as well as, I'm just going to turn on my discounting here for a second, we also got all the pricing that was created for this project. All right, so that's why it's important to make sure that you import both a DWG file as well as a SIF file that contains the specifications and pricing of the project. Once I'm satisfied with that, I can go ahead and tap on send and send that out to the client. And that's it, everyone. We've now shown you the best practice to working with your design team using kits, ultimately getting you closer to becoming that supercharged power user, and hopefully our next collaborator of the week. All right, so thanks again, everyone, for attending today. And for our Canadian users, happy Thanksgiving, and have a safe holiday with friends and family. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you guys next week.